Peace. This is Journey Coaching with Russ. This is Ross Davis L. And we're going to pick back up on our breakdown of man and his symbols. We'll be starting with symbolism and the visual arts. My name is Jaffe. Sacred symbol, the stone and the animal. The history of the symbolism shows everything can assume symbolic significance. Natural objects or man-made things, or even abstract form. We unconsciously transform objects or forms into symbols and express them in religion and visual arts. Specifically, talking about the stone, the animal, and the circle. Unhewn stones hold symbolic meaning for ancient and primitive societies. They were believed to be the dwelling places of spirits or gods, and used as tombstones, boundary stones, or objects of religious veneration. Many stone sanctuaries, the deity is represented by many unhewn stones arranged in a distinct pattern. Early in history, man began trying to express the soul or spirit of rock by working it into recognizable form. The animation of the stone must be explained as a projection of the contents of the unconscious into the stone. Emphasis on spirit in sculpture is an indication of the shifting between religion and art. The animal motif is usually symbolic to man's primitive and instinctual nature. Erupting emotions from the unconscious is always a possibility for civilized man. The animal demon is a symbol for such an impulse. He fears it and seeks to appease it by sacrifice and ritual. Many myths are concerned with primal animal, which must be sacrificed in the cause of fertility or creation. In religion and religious art, animals' attributes are ascribed to the supreme gods, where the gods are represented as animals. The subhuman and superhuman belong to the realm of the divine. This shows how vital it is for men to integrate the symbols of psychic contents into their lives or their instincts. An animal is neither good nor evil. It is a part of nature. It cannot desire anything that is not in its nature. The foundation of human nature is instinct. Man is the only creature with the power to control instinct by his own will, but is also able to suppress, distort, and wound it. Suppressed instincts can gain control of a man. They can even destroy him. A dream where dreamer is pursued by animal usually indicates that an instinct has been cut off from the conscious and should be integrated into life. The more dangerous the behavior of the animal in the dream, the more unconscious the animal of the dreamer, and it is imperative to integrate it. The symbol of the circle. The circle expresses the totality of the psyche in all aspects and points to the most vital aspects of life, which is wholeness. There are four functions of consciousness, which are thought, feeling, intuition, and sensation, that help man deal with the impressions of the world from the inside and out. Brahma's fourfold survey of the universe symbolizes the integration of those functions. The religious image of the East, used for the meditation, sometimes contains 4 or 8 rayed circles. Many Eastern meditations figures are geometrical in design and are called yantras, which is a type of mandala. A common design is 2 interconnected triangles with one pointing up and the other pointing down, representing Shiva and Shakti, male and female energies. psychologically symbolizing the union of opposites. This is ultimately the goal of all religions. The emphasis is on the tension between the opposites, hence the erotic and emotional characteristics, implying the creation process, while the 4 or 8 rayed circle represents holiness. In non-Christian art, circles are called sun wheels. There are many pictorial mandalas in Christian art. Mandalas play a role in architecture as well. Rome was built in a circular shape, though it was described as a square city. The circular city was divided into 4 parts by the 2 main streets running north and south, and west and east. Another theory, it was the visual representation of mathematically squaring the circle. Either way, a mandala is involved. Many medieval cities were founded on the ground plans of a mandala and surrounded by a circular wall, which was inspired by Jerusalem. The mandala ground plan was used to transform the city into an ordered cosmos. Sacred place bound by a center to the other worlds. Every building that has a mandala ground plan is a projection of archetypal image from within the human unconscious onto the outer world. The central symbol of Christian art is the cross or crucifix. Till Carolingian times, the Greek cross was used by replaced by the Latin cross we see today, symbolizing the tendency to remove the center of man and his faith from the earth and elevate it into spiritual realms. Beginning of the Renaissance, religion was superseded by reason. Art became more realistic and sensuous. The circle replaced the Latin cross. A rift arose between man's faith and his rational mind. These opposites have not been reconciled by modern man. Around 1000 AD, alchemists had an important role. They sought the wholeness of man, encompassing mind and body, and were inspired by the dark side of nature. They invented many symbols to represent this. The central symbol was a quadratur circuli, squaring the circle. Their work was written in their dreams and visions. The last great representative of sensuous art was the 19th century Impressionists, which had two different styles. Imaginative, which presented a fantasy or experience of art in an unrealistic or abstract way, or sensory, which depicts direct reproductions of nature or picture subject. Imaginative art goes back to Mediterranean basin in 3rd millennia BC. They are modes of expression of religious and spiritual emotion. Today, abstract symbol of circle has characteristic transformation relating to the issue of modern man's existence. The circle no longer dominates the picture. The circle is a symbol of the psyche. The square is a symbol of earthbound matter, body and reality. The separation is a symbol of the psychic states of modern man, like the split of east and west of the globe. Modern painting as a symbol. The terms modern art and modern painting are used in layman terms. Modern imaginative paintings can be abstract, but not always. Psychological fact that the artists has been an instrument and spokesman of the spirit of this age, or of his respective age. His work is partially understood in personal psychology terms. As a rule, the negative fascination is as strong as the positive. Fascination arises when the unconscious has been moved. The aim of modern artists is to give expression to the inner vision of man, to the spiritual background of life in the world. Art has become highly collective and touches many. What remains individual is the manner of representation, the style and quality of the modern work. The pioneers of modern art published manifestos and explanations to their aims. The forms of embodiment may be arranged between two poles, abstraction and realism. The secret soul of things. The elevation of the object gives hint to the place of modern art in the history of human mind and its symbolic significance. Everything has a secret soul, a psychological fact that artists project their part of their psyche into matter or inanimate objects. It's an old alchemy concept that the spirit and matter, psychologically interpreted, is the spirit of the unconscious. It always manifests when conscious knowledge has reached its limits and mystery sets in. Then man tends to feel the mysterious with the contents of his unconscious. Tarico, the founder of the Patur Manifesto, every object has two aspects of the common and the metaphysical. A work of art must relate something that does not appear in its visible form. He was influenced by the philosophies of Nietzsche and Schopenhauer. The death of God is a psychic fact. For years, Dr. Jung observed the Christian God image fade in his patient's dreams. This does not mean that there is not a God. In psychology and religion, contents of the unconscious psyche enter consciousness in tangible form as images, dreams, ideas, or intuitions. The origin of contents and cause of transformation must remain unknown. Man deprived of his soul depicted a man who strives to discover truth about metaphysics and is a symbol of a loneliness and senselessness. How does the relationship between consciousness and unconscious take shape in the work of modern artists? Where does man stand? One answer is found in the realism movement. Andre Breton is regarded as the founder. He sought to reconcile the two using free association tactics. There's a risk of the unconscious contents to overpower and manifest negative sides without the conscious mind. The unconscious is pure nature and it shares its gifts constantly. Left on its own without response from the consciousness, it can destroy its own gifts. The association of the two or more things without normal association on a plane is a potent start of poetry. Psychic wholeness rules nature. The 19th century Romantics spoke of nature's handwriting being seen everywhere. They saw everything as the expression of the same thing. Compositions of chance is where psychologists began to question the meaning. The retreat from reality. Nuclear physics robbed the basics units of matter of absolute correctness. Simultaneously, mass and energy, wave and particle, are proven interchangeable. Reality takes a different meaning, ruled by classical physics. Corresponding discoveries found in the psyche. The space-time continuum of physics and the collective unconscious can be viewed as the outer and inner aspects of one reality. The main subject of modern art is unimaginable, much of which is abstract. Their work is symbolic expressions of the world behind consciousness. Few artists recognize the connection between their form of expression and physics and psychology. Art became mysticism, in the spirit of alchemists called Mercurius. He is the spirit that artists sought behind the appearance of nature. There is a connection between history and symbolism in modern art. It must be understood as mysticism of the spirit of earth and is an expression of our time contemporary to Christianity. The artist's eyes should always be turned in upon his inner life, and his ears should be always alert for the voice of inward necessity. The more reality fades, the more the picture loses its symbolic content, because the nature of the symbol and its functions is to communicate the unknown. Pure abstraction has become an image of concrete nature. The deeper layers of the psyche are progressively more collective until they are universal. This leads to the fact that modern artists are not as free in their work. If work is done in an unconscious way, it is controlled by the laws of nature on the deepest level. The more despair in the world, the more abstract the art, while the world at peace produces more realistic art. The cause of this is a lack of consciousness. Stories of the victorious hero is a symbol of of consciousness and is a call for the individual consciousness and counterbalances unconsciousness. They can give meaning to life. Envy, lust, sensuality, lies, and all known vices are negative, dark aspects of the unconscious. In the positive sense, the unconscious is a spirit of nature, is creative, but in the negative, it is a spirit of evil or destructive. The union of opposites. The spirit of the age is in constant motion. 1910 changed abstract painting, and artists were concerned with expressing their emotional experience of nature. This is a conscious reunion of inner reality with the reality of the world or nature, a union of body and soul. There's a reason. There's a reason to not deny evil. Church has become a patron of modern art, symbolic of the fact that of the part played by modern art in relation to Christianity is changing. There is too much anxiety and dread in the world, and an unwillingness of individuals to apply themselves and their life conclusions drawn from art. The artist can often express many things unconsciously without hostility when expressed by psychologists, because people can feel attacked. It is an important suggestion of a more whole and human form of expression should become visible in our time.